Ladies and gentlemen, your referee, Mr. Mark Goddard, calls a stop to this contest after 2 minutes and 13 seconds of round number 3, declaring your winner by way of rear naked choke in the red corner, Reece McEwan!
Hello and welcome to this week's Open Mat. We are joined by Cage Warriors and Scottish prospect and Reece McEwan. Listen, appreciate the time, man. We've tried to nail you down a few times, haven't we?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate that.
Right.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You do a fair bit of travelling, and I get it. It's very hard to nail you down because obviously you spread a bit your camp between Glasgow as well as down in Shore MMA.
Yep.
What brought that on? Just to expand.
Shore MMA. I was like, when you drove down there, how was the drive?
It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, I done it once. I said I'm never doing that again.
How'd you get down there?
I fly now. So I drove down there the first time, and I to see the first 2 days. I felt I was like numb from my arms. I'm never driving down again. But the trip at Shore MMA came like after I fought in Sunderland and I lost. And like Brett Jones came up to me and was like, "Look, like he was basically giving me like a pep talk. Like, I really value you. I think you're a great fighter. You zigged when you should have zagged. Don't let this like beat you down. You lost another great fighter." And you know what it's like? He's like, "You're always welcome down in Wales anytime you want." And I thought, oh, thanks. You know, when people offer, oh, that's great. I'm never taking him up on that offer because like he's so good. How can I even train with somebody like him? And then after that fight, I made my Cage Warriors debut. And after each fight, like myself and my coach Dean, like always sit down and like dissect the fight. We watch it and we think, how can we kind of move on from there? And in our notes, both of us kind of thought like we need to kind of go and train somewhere to be out your comfort zone, somewhere that you don't know anyone, you've never trained with anyone before. He's like, because no matter the level of guys that you're training with in the gym, you know their style, they know your style, and let's try and like train with some unfamiliar bodies. So I was like, well, I'd like to take Brett up on that offer to go down to Shore MMA. So I sent him a text, I sent Richard Shore a text, and like it's probably one of those like cheesy messages where I was like, look, I watched Jack, I watched Brett from afar. That's the style that I want to go and learn, like physically learn. And then luckily I went down that week, and then the first night I was like, this place is for me. Like the environment was great. I kept saying to everybody, I'm not this bad, honestly, I'm just so nervous. And like I remember every one of them was like, don't worry, you'll feel more comfortable, just settle in this week. And I thought it's very rare you go to an MMA gym and their ego is literally not like, their ego's parked at the door, they just want me to feel welcome and part of the team. I thought, so that's a really good thing. And then from there I just kind of felt like it was a home from home.
That's as a coach, Dean Riley from Grip House, an amazing coach, amazing MMA prospect himself.
Yeah.
But that just shows him as a coach to see where, right, how can we make you a much rounded fighter, and then going to Shore MMA, it's one of the best in the country.
Yes.
And it's definitely coming out your comfort zone, getting into these places with UFC fighters and high level, because at the time would Oban have been in Cage Warriors and been the champion?
I think he was in Cage Warriors. I think at the time he might have been 4-2 or 5-2. He, weirdly enough, I always remember I went down like the last week of May, and him and Scott were fighting that weekend. So I remember my last, like that week, I missed, Shaky and Carl and stuff were away the Thursday night. So Jack took the wrestling session. And I'm thinking like they've just kind of went away, and who's replaced them? Like Jack's so like top 15 ranked in the UFC. And I always remember like wishing them good luck and stuff, and then watching their fight in Wales because it was like a Friday night. Just loads of wee moments that I remember, like that first week staying in an Airbnb, just like thinking, what's happening?
Were you on your own? Were you staying on just by yourself?
I didn't sleep well at all because I was like, I don't know if this is a good area or not, but I was like, you know what it's like when you got your mindset on something, you're there, you don't really care the circumstances. As long as you're getting good training in, you don't really care. So, and Oban was amazing with me. I remember I had like a t-shirt with my name on it, and he was like, Reece McEwan, remember the name? I thought like, I'm in your gym, like what? Like nerve-wracking, but
Oban is that type of guy though.
Yeah,
like,
he just like kind of
likable.
like makes it feel so much better. And as you say, like a lot of coaches can be precious about their guys, but for a coach to suggest like what's best for your development, and then it's been a great addition to my team. So
and then each time you go down there, you have a good tough fight camp, and then you come in and showcase a more developed fighter.
Yeah, you know what it's like as well when you've got coaches or training partners. They've got to understand you as a person or you as an athlete. That's what gets the best out of you, isn't it? Like that's what makes your camp and your environment the best, because you're training with people who are better than you, you're better than, competitive with, and coaches that know how to get the best out of your style. So
and definitely going to a gym that you don't really know MD and you get in there, that's pretty much like a fight.
Yeah, of course.
So I was just going to say, that's the risk you always run with that, eh? Like, I don't know these guys and I'm doing this. It's a chance for somebody to go, let's see.
Yeah.
And that does happen, mate.
And sometimes with your training partner, sometimes you just could have the same round over and over again. Like, so it's like a different style or a different feel, and then also you're nervous because you're like, you don't know who this guy is. You don't want to be the bad training guy that just came into a gym and then 2 minutes later, somehow, why am I like in the cage with like Jack or Brett if I misbehaved? Like, you know, like,
and
so
they're going to put you in your place, aren't they?
yeah. So, but yeah, I always say like it's a top gym with like top people, and I'm guessing you had a really good time when you were down there as well.
Yeah, cracking place, wasn't it?
That'd be great.
Was it beyond the gym as well?
I didn't go to the gym, mate. I didn't go. In the morning, I was too fucked. I couldn't get out of bed. Honestly, I'm not joking. I didn't go to the gym.
From hangover?
It was too rough, mate. I was unwell for days, honestly.
I get up and hustled on.
Yeah. I remember Paul getting up.
Sweating on people and like, must think, this guy's clearly an alcoholic.
I mean, Paul getting up and going, right, come on, we're going to the gym. And I was just like, I'm going nowhere. I don't even think I said it out loud. I was like, I'm going nowhere. Like, I can't move.
Did you know the UFC were filming as well at that time?
Did we know
We
John?
met John the night before.
We met John. I don't think we realised they were coming until like
You walked in
maybe that day of that, was it? And then John Gooden rocks in, and then it was like we just started, kept drinking.
Did he know what he was getting himself in for?
John had one drink.
He's a professional, mate. He's not like us.
The next morning, it was like me, Oban, who clearly had a good few scoops as well, and we're in there, and I felt terrible because they were doing like the behind the fighter kind of thing. It must have just have been Oban, like absolutely honking. And then there's that thing where the last thing you want to do is when you're training with people is go in and smash people because they were filming him. They were filming John, they were filming Shaky, and I was like, I can't smash these people. I can't go in. And so I was having a nice wee flow with people, no trying to like hurt him there and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But inside,
Did you drove down, Greg? Did you drove?
I drove down, and then by the time we had left, I was pretty much sober after. You know, it's like after you've had a couple of sessions.
The drive home was the worst. Do you not think?
Because you know, it's like seeing you hit that barrier at Scotland, and you're like, I'm nowhere near him.
And you're like, it's like when I live in Greenock, so I'm like, if I just put Glasgow in, it won't look as bad. So then, but I'm like, if I'm 2 hours from Glasgow, I'm 2 hours from my house. And I remember on the way home, I stopped by, I went for a Pisano pizza because I was like, I just need something to make me feel good here. I was like, and then you stop at every service station for like how much like fizzy drink or like diet juice can I
know, just trying to get yourself through there.
I like how we drive though. It's all right, mate. We had a good time.
It would have been good company for you though, yeah. Like, if you were in the car.
So, within the last, what we're saying, about 2 years, your development within Cage Warriors has been huge.
Yeah.
They're giving you a massive push. They like the Scottish element. They're back in Scotland again.
Yeah.
Any word on a fight? Any word that MD you're looking for?
So, as it stands just now, I'm fighting in the next Glasgow show at the Braehead Arena on the 19th of April, so that's good. I always knew I'd be on that card when the dates kind of came out, which is great. Like, it's a weird thing because I think my first 5 Cage Warriors fight, everyone I was like, come on, you need the Glasgow card, and then we had the Glasgow card, had another one, and I thought, I want to fight someone else. So you're like, you have to be careful. You ask the universe for. So I'm like, right, okay, Braehead Arena, that will be amazing, fantastic atmosphere. It's good to like fight alongside like so many other Scottish fighters as well. And then I've had a couple of offers off like a couple of the top guys in the division that we've said yes, so we're just kind of waiting to see which one kind of comes through. So sometimes like I think I used to spend so much time like eyeing a certain opponent up, but then you know when you get an opponent you didn't think of, it kind of sometimes catches you off guard. So not to try and be too cheesy, but I try and like just focus on myself that day, and then when I get sent an opponent, I've always got in the back of my head that they might not have said yes yet, so I'm like, okay, I'll weigh out I'll look at how I would implement my strategy against them. We'll say yeah, have a think about it, and then when it's signed, start proper delving into it, visualising and stuff. Yeah,
for an individual specific opponent,
because you still are an employee of a company.
Yeah,
it's not like he said this about me on social media and let's put it together. Like that can still happen, but if Cage Warriors go, no, we prefer this.
And I think I've in martial arts, like I think every fight you learn so much about yourself, like the preparation and the fight. Like there's been times when I've been so focused on an opponent or maybe even the title that you do actually it does consume you, because you're like, this is definitely the next guy I'm fighting. So then you're almost training in the back of your head, visualising, and you get offered someone else and you think, oh, I never thought about that fight coming. Right, okay, I'll change my mindset. But you've wasted that so much energy on someone else when if you actually just thought about your strengths and weaknesses, you just spent X amount of time and X amount of your energy on yourself. And I think that makes a huge difference in fighting, like, because you can end up being consumed or mentally exhausted thinking about someone else or something you can't control, which is like ultimately like, I don't know, a title fight or a fight day or winning a fight. You can't control these things. So
that seems really mature as a fighter to not waste, because a lot of people would get bogged down with just being so focused on that one opponent. I need that title, I need this guy. But that's it's very mature.
And what you say is such an interchangeable sport.
Yeah.
Like, injuries can happen. We've just seen it in the UFC right up until the day before. Like, really anything can happen.
Yeah.
There's no limit to the variables, is there? So why do we spend so much time looking at those things?
It's like, I don't know, but if when you accept a fight, sometimes in the back of my head, I'm like, this guy might not show up. He might miss weight. I don't know. I like visualize all these bad things, not bad things, like these things that can happen. What happens if he misses weight? If he misses weight by a certain amount, what happens if he pulls out on the day, pulls out the week before, pulls out an injury? Like, what kind of position will that put you in mentally? And I think like I've had pullouts. I've had to withdraw fights from myself. I've went in injured. Are they coming in compromised? Are they? I don't know. I think about all these things. And I just think ultimately, if you break it down, you just got to think about yourself and have this like strategy, unique edge, style, and make it fit in every puzzle that you get. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you come away and you think, right, how can I make that better? Like, that guy's taught me a lesson here, I need to improve from that. So I think like that's like, that should, well, for me, I think that's like the bigger picture than one, like, I don't know, like winning over people that doesn't really mean anything. You want somebody that's going to make you terrified inside and make you go to training and get the best out of you.
As it's that fear of somebody embarrassing you or hurting you, it motivates you massively.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, when you don't have that fear, then you're not fighting for anything.
Yeah, you kind of, that person, they bring you down to that level. I'm not saying that you.
That's a great way to put that.
But
I like what you
like. See, if you put somebody, I wouldn't say on a pedestal, but if you're fighting someone, you go, they're really dangerous. If I get hit with them, I might get knocked out. If I hit the floor, like, you know, these kind of big don'ts you want to avoid, that puts a fire in your belly, and you're thinking, I need purpose. I need to be concentrated. I need to be on the ball. As if you spar with like the day one beginner, and then that day one beginner's absolutely knocking you out because you're like, I don't even know what he's doing, but he's brought you down to his level, I feel.
I like the way you've worded that there, because I had a fight where I can remember getting my hands wrapped and everything and saying to James, like, normally by now it's happening.
Yeah.
He was like, how do you normally feel before fights? I'm like, what? Normally by now. He's like, right, listen, remember, it's not going to be easy. And even though he's saying it, I'm still like, it's going to be easy. Like, I'm going to go out and run this cunt over.
Yeah.
And lost me. And it's the worst. And just what you're saying, and again, the guy isn't a bad guy or anything. Like, I like him, but I lowered myself down to that. That's a interesting way to think about that. I've never really looked at it for that angle before.
Yeah. You're not overlooking him. You're just kind of, you're making a mistake.
I just didn't think he would do anything that I wouldn't have an answer for.
Yeah. Or you grapple and you're like, oh, this guy's not good, and then they do something good. Your expectations were there, and now all of a sudden he's here. I just think, like, I've also put people on pedestals where I'm in a fight and I'm like, this guy's not as good as I think he is. But then you've accepted losing, I think, because rather than thinking, I'm going to drive on and I'm going to beat this guy, you're thinking, I'm doing all right. I'll just accept this.
I'll just keep doing all right.
Yeah, because I'm doing all right. But again, that's a lesson too, isn't it? So you're always making lessons and always learning from lessons, and sometimes you're able to mask it with a win, but sometimes it's hurtful and you lose from it.
So do you do a fair bit of mental preparation? I know we obviously had Dr. Sam on the podcast as well. Fantastic podcast.
Lovely guy.
And just speaking to him, and he was saying he does some mental work with you. Do you do any of that stuff on your own?
Yeah, I think like it's a weird thing, and I'm sure yours will be the same, where I used to visualize a lot and practice like the law of attraction or manifestation without even knowing it was a thing. Like, I even think back to like when I was younger watching a football game, you'd visualise what happens if they for some reason call me over the tannoy and want me to play in this game. I'm like 12, right? And I don't know why, but that is visualisation. That's manifesting what you want to happen, so you live it in your brain before it happens. So I've always been a huge believer in like visualising good things, bad things, so that then when it happens, you've almost lived it in your brain. But like Sam's definitely like echoed that in a more like deeper and real like concept, like channeling the thoughts into more positive positive experiences. Like, I used to always think, and I've raised that not issue with them, and I'm like, I'd always have that negative conversation with the person in the with myself, almost saying like, oh, just give in, Reece, just stop, just tap. You never do, but I used to always think the theory behind that was, if I can't break myself, then how can someone else break me? Because I'm always trying to give myself a way out, but I'm always actually fighting back and it's getting the best out of me. And he was like, if we can change that language to positive, like I said, oh, I'm putting this guy in a pedestal, I'm doing all right, as opposed to saying, oh, I'm doing okay, being like, I'm going to finish this guy. And it's just changing that wee bit of language, that now that negative voice is almost a positive voice, and it's positively reinforcing you to take yourself on to the next level. And it's the same with like records or fighting. Like an analogy Sam had with me was like, two, like when you're going to fight, he always says, he's like, it should be like Disneyland, because you talk about the scare, like being scared or the fear. I think every fighter's got to have that. If you don't, I think you're lying. Mike Tyson always said, was like, I'm terrified, and if somebody like him can be terrified, then a wee guy from Greenock is okay to be terrified. And he was like, it should be like Disneyland. Like, are you excited to go to Disneyland as a child? I'm like, of course. He's like, this is your Disneyland. He's like, so go and enjoy it. Go make the most of it. And he's like, and every fight should be treated as its own fight. You should be 0-0. You're fighting for the first time. Prove yourself to the world. Prove yourself to yourself. Prove yourself to everybody that's coming to watch you. Show your level. Beat this guy. Celebrate. Back to 0-0.
That's a great way of looking at it, isn't it?
And
I love that.
And he sent me a text after the last fight. He was like, well done, you're 1-0. And about a week later, and I was like, undefeated, man, this is amazing. And then a week later, he was like, right, now back to work Monday, 0-0. And it just, like, it's that quote where you don't let the wins get to your head and don't let the losses get to your heart. Just break it back down again, 0-0. How do I get back to 1-0? So that mix of visualization, like, I feel that's taking like my mental kind of natural thoughts of visualizing, law of attraction, positivity, kind of to an actual, like, he's actually conceptualized it and structured it into a way that I can channel it, like, to be greater.
Yeah.
Well, were you a negative thinker?
No, I'm an overthinker. Definitely an overthinker. I think.
Or do you have to battle against negative thoughts?
I think I'm a positive thinker in the sense that maybe it's a bit sadistic, where something happens, I'll think there's a reason why that's happened. That's happened. No, cold's not the word, but I'm like, that's happened. How do I learn from it? And I try and take positives away from it. And like, I mean, like say like I've got a grandparent that's real unwell. I'm like, right, with the positive, she's not hurting. And that was when I started realising I'm trying to see a positive in every negative situation. And it was reading, like, I remember reading a book, I think it was one of Ant Middleton's book, it was The Fear Bubble. And he was talking about like channeling your anxiety into, like, so I was nervous to come to this podcast today. If I'm driving in the gym, if I'm driving to here, what's the point in worrying about it? Because I'm not in that bubble yet. Once I enter the studio, I'm in the bubble. So try and control the bubble a little bit. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing what he's saying, but
no, I've read it as well. Like, so I enjoy it.
And then it's the same about the fight. Like, if I'm fighting on the 19th of April, what's the point of stressing about it now? Because when I get in the cage, it will take care of itself, no matter how good my preparation is or not. But I would definitely say I'm a positive thinker, but on the outside, I always need to convince myself there's a positive. I'm trying to like negate those not negative thoughts, but worries, so that the worry doesn't lead to anxiety and things on a deeper level.
I think that is a thing with very positive people, though. They're very positive because they're constantly fighting against the negative.
Yeah.
Because, like, look at, if you just walk out into wider society, how many people are just walking about and don't actually care? Like, we're seeing with Kevin Holland now. He's kind of went, fucking who cares?
Yeah.
And that's what that really is negative thoughts have just beat him now. Yeah. In my opinion, I don't know if you feel the same.
I think my fiance always, she's like, so she'll air a problem to me and I'll give a solution. And she's like, sometimes I just want to rant.
Oh,
and I'm
mate,
like, but in my head, I'm like, that needs solved. I'm like, if that's a negative thought, because well, not that she's not, I'm not like telling her this, but for me, if I've got a negative thought, I can't let that spiral, because then I'm like, thought, I just need to action it, make a positive step. If that's that negative, I need to tell myself. And it sometimes is bad, like harsh lessons, and I'm like, there's a reason why it's happening. And then another quote is like, well, you need to be careful what you ask the universe for, because if you want something really good, you better be ready for the lessons it's going to throw at you. And if you're not, you don't deserve what you ask for. So maybe I'm a bit too serious at times, but that would be my thought process.
But you're doing a very serious sport.
Yes.
Like, it's not like it's just a laugh, eh? Like, you can't go in a couple of nights a week and be good at it.
No.
It is life consuming.
You ever get, like, you get an opponent offered and your family around you, like, it's a tough fight. And you're like, I could bring someone off the street and you would say the same thing.
Have you got quite a supportive family?
Yeah, I've got an amazing family, an amazing support network, and amazing people around me. I really do, and I'm really grateful for it. I think try and apply some gratitude as well to emphasise that positivity. So,
because it can be very hard for family members to see what you're doing here.
Yeah,
it's especially like even my partner. Like I've been with her for a long time now, and even podcasting. Like I know she's like, all right, like that's not a real job. But it is though. It's like
my fiance always jokes and says she's going to get me a safer job. She's like, look, I've got this job for you, like, as a joke. But she always says, she's like, I know if you done any other job in the world, you'd happy. And I'm like, I'm happy. I'm like free. Like if like it was my birthday last week, and I went and trained I spent my 21st, spent my 30th in the gym, and then I enjoyed some time after. I was like, that's freedom to me though. Like I've got a purpose that day. And then later on that night, I don't need to answer to anyone that day. If I phone up Dean, is like, I'm not making training, like I'm injured, he's like, no problem, take a couple of days off, you train hard anyway. It's not like, where are you, like in that office where you have to
You should have been there at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, until 5, like, why am I doing that? Right, okay, that's just business. So like, I'm doing that to help your business, but I'm my own business, I'm my own athlete. I invest everything in myself, and hopefully it pays off in the cage, but in later life, if I've got a life in martial arts, then I'll be a happy man, yeah. Like, because it's not easy.
It's certainly not. What drew you to the sport of martial arts and MMA, and deciding, like, there must have been a switch, but originally what drew you to martial arts?
I watched I used to stay up all night, like addictive personality, like I'd stay up all night as a teenager, and the next night I'll try and stay up a wee bit later, and later and later and later, and I'm like, right, I'm going to try and do an all-nighter tonight. Sounds so weird, but that led me to watch The Ultimate Fighter on the ESPN Classic, and then I watched that. At first I kind of turned it over when the fights were on. I thought, what is this? I was the reality TV side of things.
What age were you been at this age?
What age you do? 30?
I'm 30, yeah. 14, 15. And then eventually just like, because the reason why I was staying up later, so then I was like, right, I watched the fights, and I thought, this is interesting. Weight classes. I thought, I think I could be good at this. So loaded. I thought, but at the time I was small. All my friends, everybody would grow. I wasn't growing. I was like, I thought, if there's weight classes here, I could be good at that, and I don't need to worry about being too small. I can actually fight against people my size. I thought, when I leave school, I'm going to go and train at a martial arts gym. And then I just fell in love with MMA. I fell in love with like fight sports. I just became a pure MMA geek. Like I love boxing as well. And then I thought, when I started training, I thought, right, I want to be in that TV show. I want to be in the UFC. If I do this, I need to go and do it right from the start. So I googled the best MMA gym in Scotland, seen Paul McVeigh train at the Grip House, and thought, oh, that's the guy that was on The Ultimate Fighter, the TV show. I want to go train with him, and then that's how I started the Grip House.
Interesting. I seen you'd been working with Paul McVeigh a lot closely, a lot more closer. Yeah,
recently. Again, he's a guy that's obviously led me to the gym, but for maybe the last handful of years, that way you're like, I want to ask him to train, but I don't want to ask him to train. And then I was like, I'm just plucking the courage and be like I'm very selective in who I train with. I feel like I could learn so much from you. Can I train with you? And he was like, yeah, great. So we've been training for as I said to him yesterday, I was like, we've been training for 3 months, like on a one-on-one basis, and we've never had a photo. And he was like, cool, let's do it. I was like, the power of social media, but he's not really on it. So what a legend in the game.
No, he is. Does he still hold one of the records on Cage Warriors? Is he like in the number 2 for
title defences? Is that right?
3,
yeah. Him and George Hardwick's just under. Double champ before McGregor was, and definitely a pioneer and an amazing grappler. And he's still got every time we train, he's got so many mental things to pass on to me, and advice or technical things. And I just feel like my grappling and my mindset and the way I approach things actually improving so much just from having those conversations and training with him. So yeah, he's got 20 years of martial arts. It'd be hard not to. It'd be silly to train with him for an hour and not take at least one thing away from it, I feel.
I remember there used to be it was a channel and it showed MMA. It was on Sky, and it was him and Dean Riley had done I can't remember maybe it was Cage Rage or something like that, and they'd done a documentary and followed them too, and that was the first time.
Was James in that?
I think James was.
So see, this is I always talk about it, because
I've watched this on YouTube before.
It's the Thinking Ninja Fight Team. So up until about my 10th fight, up until I could basically read it, I'd watch that every day I'd fight, because it would remind me of, and this is going to sound really sad, but so James would always say, oh, I'm fighting a guy with tattoos, I'm just a wee guy for Lanark. He was like, and then he travelled down to Liverpool, and he won in like 15 seconds or 40 seconds or whatever it was. And then Paul was like, he'd visualise the cage of it, this is where I'm going to go do work tonight. Or like Dean was wrapping his hands or cutting weight and stuff. There's always be things that I could like, you're almost visualising it, being like, so every time Dean would wrap my hands, I'd be like, I've watched him in a film get his hands wrapped, so he knows what I'm feeling like. Or if I would speak to James, I'm like, he talks about how nervous he was, or he talks about like dealing with the nerves and fighting, so you can relate to these people that I think taking inspiration from the people that's closest to you. And then every time I walk to the cage, I always say, this is where I'm going to do work tonight. And it's from Paul, that documentary. And then now I could rhyme it off, so I think I've watched it too many times. But what a documentary it is.
It was the first time I'd seen these guys.
You see the weight cutting and the rehydration and stuff.
Yeah, and Dean's like, why are we doing this? It's like, yeah.
There's a bit of IV usage as well.
It was James was on IV with Danny. Is that
I didn't want to say that, but people. I think but IVs were done in that day. That was a done thing, mate.
Paul McVeigh's wife's doctor.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
It was done. It wasn't just a wee guy.
It was like your mate. I know what I'm doing.
It's so weird because like she'll do my medicals and stuff because she's part of Safe MMA. So I would always say to her, I'm like, you do know this is a pure fanboyish moment. Like I'm in Paul's house, and then when Paul walks in, I'm just like, I'm like that. I'm around them every day. Why am I like this? But it's just you're a fan of people.
It's a respect thing as well.
So much respect, yeah. And I think you respect people that's in the game, respect people that's gave you advice, and the people that you've looked up to. I think that's like it's so important, like to have in martial arts.
Well, with the Scottish guys, you obviously respect them, and I can hear that in the way you hold them in high regards. Is there other fighters out there that you hold in like a high regard, like watching George St. Pierre do his thing where he would beat somebody at their own game? Is there other fighters like that?
Yeah, I think like for me, and I'm not just next I'm training with them, but I like see like the likes of Paul, like or Jack or Brett, Jack Shaw, Brett Jones. Like there's obviously like for me it was like who is the best. Even McGregor and he put the blueprint how to be successful. He said what he was going to do it and he'd done it. From that period of 2013 to 2016, I don't think anyone can replicate that success, that mentality. Because he said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it and I'm going to be who I am in the process. Jack, Brett, James, Paul, like they're being themselves in the process. They're not changing who they are. I think that was always it for me. Like the people who can be true to themselves, have a goal in mind, stick to the goal and give absolute everything to it. How can you not be inspired by that? Even your opponents or the people that you might not really like, how can you hate someone that's got the same dream as you and applies himself the same way as you? So I think like GSP is an absolute legend. Demetrius Johnson, like he flies under the radar so much, but he was like I think he was like the best fighter, all-round fighter of all times. And it was him, watching interviews with him, he'd be like, I'm studying myself, so I'm just trying to see how would someone fight me? How would I get the best out of me? So that mindset of like, it was all about him being better as an athlete, better as a person. And he was, all these guys that I've named are nice humans to be around. They're not like arrogant or pretending they're someone they're not just for a couple of extra 100,000 pay-per-views. So yeah, people that are true to themselves and apply themselves, I think I take so much inspiration from. It's
definitely hard to not get caught up in the whole selling yourself and media side of mixed martial arts. Yeah. And especially, like, you're at the point where Cage Warriors are coming to Glasgow and they're wanting you to headline and they're firing a camera in front of you and they're like, right, can we go and do this? Can we go and do that? And sometimes you feel like you have to be another person to peacify them and get yourself out there. Because it's hard to sell yourself if you're, like, for me, I'm a really boring guy. like I genuinely am boring. Highlight of my life is going home at night and just sitting down and watching telly with my family. Like, people don't really want to read about that.
I think you do this all the time, but
that's people will relate and see you as a role model that you won't even think of.
But then you've got to, like, how do you, have you been caught up in any of these moments where you're like, right, I need to elevate myself?
I know it's probably, I always think there's eye-catching things to be like, well, I just think for me, see if I can just be the bit, see who I am, like you like me or hate me, but at least I'm who I am. If you hate me for being me, that's cool. You're just not meant to get on. If I'm who I am and you like me, great. I'm just being natural to myself, and like say, like, and I'm like so grateful, privileged to like be in a position where I'm on like this podcast. As long as I just be myself and natural, then I watch back and I listen back and be like, why'd you say it that way? You used to say it better, and I learned from the experience. But I'm like, I was true to myself. So like, I just feel like I've never like been, I don't know, then your personality, people start identifying things. Like, I remember in my second Cage Warriors fight, like I smile and I'm happy. I never force it. I just, whatever I feel that day, like I've made mistakes in that fights where I'm like, I don't feel I'm not feeling as happy as I did last fight. Let's force it. And you realise you just can't force these things. I can't force a personality or a person that I'm not. And I was like posing for the weigh-in photo and I was smiling. And Dolly, I get along with so much. She's like, no, fierce. I was like, I don't have that in me. I was like, I just need to smile. And then every time we take a photo, she's like, right, give us your smile. I just need to be myself. I can't respectful. I have to be respectful. I can't, you talk about your opponents bringing you down to your level. I can't let you allow me to bring me down to a level of a person that I'm not. And then, because you're winning. So I hope that can answer your question.
I know, but it 100% answered my question.
To get me, to change to try and be like, let's get after you.
I know, because there is times where it's like, right, as you're saying, like that photographer's like, no, I'm needing mean, or I'm needing this, I want that, and you can't do it. And it's like, I need to actually go back and actually think about selling myself better.
Yeah, totally.
Probably that first Glasgow Cage Warriors card, because it was the first one in Scotland. Like, there probably was an additional media pressure added to you.
Pure.
Or did you just have to go, I'm ignoring this?
I felt like I ignored it. I felt like when I fought in the main event against Liam Gittins for the title, I was like, title. I think I went from that experience. I was like, this is for the belt. This is what I want.
This was Newcastle, wasn't it?
This was in Newcastle. It felt like a Scottish card. So many Scottish people. I think you were there as well.
It was wild.
Massive.
It
It
was
was huge. It was like,
is that the Virtue Motors or something it was called?
And then when I was walking out, I was like, I'm like speaking to myself, and I remember performance is all that matters tonight, but that's not good, because I'm trying to bring myself down to that level where it's like, remind yourself what's the most important. And yeah, it's probably good that I'm right, okay, stay level headed, but realistically, if you're having to convince yourself, that means that there's a thought process that's maybe creeping in, that the battle or like the journey to the title, it's been all about that moment. It's all about, I'm going to win the title, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You're not actually thinking about Liam Gittins for 25 minutes. You're not thinking beyond that. But so then when it came to the Glasgow, I made sure that I learned that lesson. I thought, no, I need to strip it all back down. I just think it could be nobody, Glasgow, Newcastle, Cardiff. Just need to go and fight and focus on who I am, who's in front of me, and see where that takes me. So
the crowd can definitely be a big influencer.
Yeah, because in Newcastle, I think I remember this is probably cheesy to say, but it's just honest. I thought, this is my night, this is my moment. I'm going to win the belt. And I stood in and I took it all in.
It was a brilliant atmosphere as well.
It was unbelievable. And I remember turning, and then like a Jenison song, I'm seeing like Paddy Pimblett singing, and I'm just like, this is my moment. I'm going to win the belt. But maybe the moment got the better of me that night, and that's okay to accept. Like, I learned a lesson. So when it came to Cage Warriors Glasgow, I think I was tuned in, matured, and I was dead straight face, not reminding myself this is what I'm here for. Got knocked down, and I was like, nope, back up again, let's go, let's win this fight, let's do what we can to win. And obviously I never won, but there's so many lessons that you did take on was that you become that fierce competitor, really.
And then, so moving forward, you fought for the title, you've been in Glasgow numerous times.
Yeah.
How far away is this next title shot for you? Like, I know you obviously don't like to do that.
Yeah, no, not of course.
I'm thinking right, because the path for you as a 30-year-old man is get that Cage Warriors title.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get that opportunity to fight in the Ultimate Fighting show, rather than going Dana White's Contender Series. I'd love to see that go full circle for you and become go into the TV show. Yeah. Is this what you've got in line? Have you mapped these out, these sort of benchmarks?
Yeah. Do you ever get that when you're training, you're like, right, you've got the level-headed, but then the fantasy person keeps in. But yeah, no, definitely, obviously.
You do need them.
Yeah.
The daydreamer needs to be there, because things wouldn't happen if you didn't daydream about them, I don't think. I've got like a mega boring job where I'm just standing there for hours, and all I do is daydream, mate, and just imagine I'm somewhere else. Yeah, and it's like people who dream big never settle. So it's like, yeah, of course you're thinking fight by fight by fight. But then the things you can control is like focus on this fight. That's it. That's all that is. But the back of your head, what can I not control? Which is the daydreaming person winning the title. Sometimes push comes to shove, you've got a hard session, you're like, do you want to win this belt or not? Do you want to win this fight? Do you want to be in the UFC? So I think, like, obviously the level-headed person, take one fight at a time, but the daydreamer's like, right, win this fight. Shoot the person that we should be fighting, hopefully if it comes together, should be a huge fight. The winner should be like the next person in line, and then hopefully we get the next title, and then we get that chance to fight for the title the next fight or the fight after, and then see whoever's a champion, if it's vacant, fight for that, and then use all the lessons that I've learned and go on and win that title that I felt I should have got the last time around.
And then from that, it's that stepping stone to get to UFC, and there's great opportunities now with stuff like the Dana White's Contender Series. There's so many opportunities and so many different roads to get in.
Yeah.
And like we just seen a fight announced recently with Chris Duncan and the
Gordon Bajanic.
Yep, the Cage Warriors
champ.
Yeah. And like there's opportunities, but I think you need to have that goal, don't you? It's like that sort of bragging right to get that opportunity to be.
The CV's got to be right, eh?
Yeah. As well, like, I used to always say, like when I was fighting for the title, I made a good story because I dreamed it and I had it. And yeah, like, see you dream big and you put your goals out there. I said, what's the worst thing that happened? Say it didn't happen, but I had the courage to go and apply myself to do it. And I had the courage to go out and say it. And I had the courage to go out and like to give it my absolute all. And if I didn't achieve it, right, okay, well, you can't diss me because I gave it everything. Maybe I just wasn't good enough. That's okay. But I gave it my all. I will sleep at night when I'm retired and going, I gave it absolute everything to my career. And I'm speaking to Paul, he's like, I'm happy, I can sleep at night, I reached my potential. I was like, that's success. That's what you want. You want to reach your potential. And then the next generation, whatever the bar you set, they put that out. Like James talks about that all, that's the circle of a gym. Like the next generation always goes higher. That's when a gym or an environment or a culture is successful. And that's when you're part of a good team, like that's how you should feel, I think. But yeah, the Cage Warriors title, like, when I first started training, I said to Dean Riley, like, oh, I want to be, he was a Cage Warriors fighter at the time. I was like, I want to be in the UFC. I've been training like a couple of weeks. I'm like, but I want to be in the UFC, that dreamer. And he's like, okay, cool. So like a month of training with him, he had his Cage Warriors fight. And he was like, do you want to come to my fight? I was like, it's in Dublin, can't afford it. Like, basically, like, living week by week, like, working, just try to pay for these private sessions, Grip House membership and stuff. And he's like, I'll cover things. I was like, I couldn't even afford to spend the money though. I'm too ashamed to like ask my mum for like £100. So I watched him fight, and then unfortunately I lost. And he sent me a wee text like, I've got you a present. I'm like, what's he got me from Ireland? Like, what is it? So then he came back and he's like, you tell me you want to be in the UFC? I was like, yep. Pure yes, boss, yeah. And then he was like, he handed me these Cage Warriors gloves. He's like, if you want to be in the UFC, you're going to have like 10 amateur fights. It literally said it like this, like four odd professional fights, 4, 5, 6. And then you're going to fight in Cage Warriors, win their belt, then you'll be good enough for the UFC. So take these gloves. I want you to look at them. Every time you think about you're in the UFC, that's the path for you. And I was like, cool. Took these Cage Warriors gloves, put them in my memory box. I was like, I'll leave them there till I turn pro. I'll wear them until Cage Warriors sign me. Then I'll fight for the title, fight for the UFC. I'd done exactly that. I wore them my first pro fights. Had 10 odd amateur fights. First pro fights, signed to Cage Warriors, and then won my first 4 fights and then fought for the title. So that daydreaming made for a good story, but it motivated me so much because I'm like, I'm still on that path. I just had a couple of obstacles in the way. So.
And still probably a couple more, mate.
Yeah,
that's
you need to be
the
careful
thing.
what
like
you ask
anything,
the universe for, yeah.
It's silly to think it's ever going to be plain sailing because it's no. And if you think it is, it's going to hit even harder when things do inevitably. Like this sport is wild. Like anything, we've all been there and something. Where did that come from?
Yeah, or in my last fight, it was like I went in losing 2 fights now. I wasn't worried about losing. I was worried about what happens if I go in chest, I can't break my leg and I've lost 3 fights in a row. And I'm like, these were the weird worries that I was.
They're strange thoughts, though. I get them as well. Like,
but then that's. But I think it's
because they seem irrational. Like, why would it happen? Yeah. So that was one of the main reasons I started going to a sports psychologist, because the stuff I was imagining happening had never happened, doesn't happen. Like, even in the UFC, like, I used to always think, I'm going to walk out. I had got dropped in sparring by Paul. And see, after I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. No going back, no training, no fighting, no doing this anymore. Yeah. And then you got me speaking to Elliot, and he was like, why would it happen though? Because what I always thought was going to happen, come out, touch gloves, first exchange, dropped, fight over. And that was like, I just couldn't get past it, for no reason. And he's like, I bet it could happen. However, it very rarely happens. You can name like 2 examples in the UFC.
Yeah.
You can't, it just isn't a thing that happens, which when you think you could get into like a proper slugfest, second round, and then get knocked out, that's far more realistic. But why does that not bother you?
I remember the visualising. I had a kickboxing fight, and then that was Dean as well. He was like, right, you've won your first 4 amateur fights by grappling. He's like, I need to test you, put you in a striking fight. I was like, yeah, great idea. Forget about this. 2 minutes a couple weeks later, got a fight. I was like, oh, kickboxer coming to MMA, is it? He's like, nah, we are going through with this. But in the visualising the fight, I always remember it wasn't about winning, losing, it was about a good performance. I kept getting my kick caught in sparring. I thought, this guy's probably going to do the same if it's happening in sparring. So he catches my kick, kind of sweeps me. He's not really allowed to sweep. I do like a backwards roll, get up, laugh. I'm like, knew that would happen. All right, at Cameron else, I was like, if he hits me, he's probably going to drop me. He dropped me, I got back up, and I was like, knew that would happen, let's keep fighting. But it's like, as long as it's the shots you don't see and stuff, but it's not to say that you need to think negative all the time, but you do need to think realistic, don't you?
Aye.
Like,
These are possibilities, but you can't let them overwhelm you.
No.
Like, otherwise, mate, if you went in thinking you're going to break your leg on a check kick, fuck, I would never.
There's been times where, like, I think I've went into a fight, I'm like, this guy could probably knock me out, he's going to beat me. And then I step in the cage, I'm like, this guy's not beating me tonight. I'm like, how much do you want this? Like, or maybe he's won an exchange. I'm like, nah, not. I woke up and you see all the champions, you're like, I want my name up there. This guy's not getting in my way tonight. I think that's like that switch. But have you ever went out running and your spec goes in your eye and it's like, you're like, I can't see, and I'm like, that could be blood. Keep running.
But you have to have these tricks, because you are always trying to push back that negative and find ways to beat it. Like, I remember a friend of mine, my very first ever amateur fight, him saying, your brain is going to tell you things, and this is his exact words. He'd been out in Thailand, like he's just a mad sort of hippie surfer type guy, sitting on the beach smoking joints, but fighting in stadiums on a Saturday night, mate. Just one of those long-haired type of guys. And he's like, your brain is going to tell you stuff like, don't do this, why are you doing this, just go away now, you can leave now, make something up, say you're injured, say you're hurt, come out with anything. He's like, you just have to say, shut up, we're doing this, and that's it.
Yeah.
He's like, once you say we're doing it, there's no going back now. And I've always remembered that very first like pep talk, because I had never done this before. I didn't know what was going to happen. Like the first time you walk to the cage, and you see the lights and you see the people and you hear your music, there's all these firsts.
Yeah.
And I think you get past those and your brain's got to create a new bad scenario to try and talk you out of it. Because that's what it does. It's meant to keep you safe. Aye, for sure.
Like,
for sure. Mate, I remember the first time getting low kicked and thinking like, oh, if he does that again, I might have to say something. Yeah. Like, that was so sore. I was not expecting that. Whoa. Fuck, again. Is that what they're like? So,
do you visualise a lot?
I do. I use two types of visualisation. I use first person, which would be me looking at my opponent from my eyes. Nice. And then I do like third person, where I'm watching the both of them. So I'm watching myself and I'm watching against the opponent. One of the best things that I started adding to my visualisation is the walk.
Nice.
Because we never, when we're in the gym, we train kickboxing, boxing, jiu-jitsu, we do all these different modalities. And when we do the visualisation, we visualise the good stuff, and we visualise the bad stuff, and we're like, right, if he punches me, I'm going to slip him. The thing that always caught me was this walk, and it crippled me walking out in front of Glasgow. Like, I was very lucky enough to be in the last Hydro fight, and I remember walking out and the love, and the guys who listen to this podcast have heard me talk about this. It's one of the worst experiences of my life. Like, I hated that moment. All these people giving me all this love and this accolade, and it's that point where it's like, I don't deserve this, I'm not good enough, and there's all these sort of negative thoughts, and then less than 5 minutes later, boom, I get hit with an absolute winner of a hook and was lying on my back. But up to that point, I had already bumped all my energy. I had no energy to go into that fight and win, because I had used so much energy in the media.
Yeah.
I had used so much energy in the backstage hitting pads. Then the walkout, and it came to the fight, I was already burned. Yeah. All my energy was zapped. And that was my first experience of fighting hometown, because everybody else I'd fought was out with that.
How did you learn from that?
Same again, working with sports psychologists, that's visualisation, that walk. And it's like, yep, there might be cheers, there might be boos. It means nothing to you.
Yeah.
That means nothing to you. This is just a walk. And then I used to pick songs that emotionally grabbed me. Same again, that's like the worst thing you can do.
I know.
Like the emotion, like we're very emotional as fighters.
Yeah. And
we wear our emotions very open. Everybody can see them. When we lose, we cry. When we win, we're elated. And there's so many ups and downs. It's very, very hard to maintain this. So for myself, lots of visualisation is the way I've always got it done.
Do you enjoy the walk now?
I do. I love the walkout now. And that last fight was one of the best walkouts, and it was one of the things James had messaged me. And James and I have a really good connection.
And you have to be honest with him if you're feeling that way.
Mm-hmm. Like, and it's like, see, for us to be like, I'm I'm fine going I'm fine fighting. We are so not fine fighting. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what level you're at. If you're kidding on to everybody like everyone's fine, it's a lie.
Oh,
Everybody
fuse,
walks out
aye.
there and they're absolutely crapping themselves because it's that
What am I
what
doing?
we spoke about. Do we want to lose? How are we going to lose? We want to win. There's all these things. There's all so many different variations. And James had messaged me. It was just out of the blue and he was like, Hanson, Mbop, that's your walkout song. And right up to the point, I was like, no. I was coming out to Biffy Clyro, I've come out to Chasing Status, I've come out to like songs that get me pumped. And I was like, nah. And the UFC message and say, fight song. And I was like, Hanson, Mbop. I sent it away. All right up until the week of the fight, I was like, I don't know about this song. I just wasn't feeling it. And I was like, I like the song's an absolute toe tapper. And I remember Sean Clancy walking out in Glasgow to the, is it somebody Walker, Leave the Lights On with the bagpipes. And I was like, imagine walking out in New York City with the bagpipes blowing behind you. I was like, I think I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it. And it was, I'm talking like hours before and I was like, nah, fuck it, it's Hanson. And I walked out and it was the most relaxed we've ever been.
How good is that from him?
But that's James knowing me as a person and knowing like, right, Paul, I know this song's going to get some for you because he puts on songs in the gym to try and burn me out. And I know he does it.
He definitely does do that.
He does. He's like, he'll put on like, so if I'm sparring, he'll put on like one of my favourite songs and he'll
so
want
your energy.
So but he knows how to control me. And I guess that's like having a coach and you're putting all your faith into this guy to steer you to be the best that you can be.
Do you think as well, you spent so much time thinking about the song, you not even thought about the fight? Like he's actually distracting you, calming you down.
Probably.
I remember when it came on, like actually, and seeing you coming out going, because it's quite nerve-wracking. Like I didn't enjoy being at Madison Square Gardens, which I look back now and I'm so annoyed at myself because
you're so tense.
You're like that.
It's horrible.
How many till he's on?
Though, isn't it?
3 more.
It's horrible watching friends.
And there were brilliant fights. There were great fights. It was a great night. Like I'll maybe never be in MSG ever again in my life, and I know how lucky I am. I've got to go once. And like I never made the most of the experience because I'm tense because I'm like, fucking, I hope Paul's all right. It's because winning or losing is irrelevant to me as well. Like it's the same for me. I'll be at Braehead. I don't care if you win or lose, mate. Just hope you're all right.
Yes.
Like just hope you're all right.
You
mate.
said Sport Network. I think like when adversity hits, it was more so when I had to pull out a fight and the amount of people had staph infection like the week before, and I was on a great run. I was like devastated, and the amount of people picked up the phone and be like, "How's things?" I'm like, "Oh, fight," and they're no, "How are you?"
Aye.
I'm like, the amount of people, and more so after I lost because they know how much it means for you. But that moment in time, I went, you know, people that care about me as a human being, like, and you don't want to try and sound like not egotistical, but it's like separating the athlete from the person. Who cares about the person? That's the people that are really there for you. See, with athletes, like people are going to like change and go. Yep. You're going to be hot news one day, and then like nobody's going to care about you the next. That's okay. Like that's sport. You need to accept that. But it's the people that care about you. That's the real people, like the Sport Network. But
that's the thing, like, because really it is a sport at the end of the day, but it's got very serious consequences.
Yeah.
Like, we all, I use this one all the time, we all came to see violence. That's why we love MMA, right? We do. And we can make it as a sporting contest, but it's not. We like seeing somebody get hurt. But I didn't want to see anybody hurt so they're changed.
No,
so they can't go out there again, or they fucking, like Bisbing losing an eye, or I didn't even want to see somebody losing their teeth, mate. Like, it's shite losing your teeth. It's a brutal thing, mate.
Some line in it, it's shite losing your teeth.
It's shite, mate. It's terrible. Imagine getting your teeth kicked out tonight and at the gym. You'd be like, fucking hell, you'd be talking like that. I don't want to see anybody actually hurt. At the end of it, I go, that was an entertaining night of fights. I'm glad everyone's okay.
You ever get like talking about being hurt, like you get like a black eye in the gym, maybe somebody's caught you and it's a topic of conversation for about 2 weeks. Aye. Who gave you that then? Aye. And you're like, well, see if I break down
my
the
wife,
round,
mate.
you're justifying the
round. when I'm at work, you get.
But I see I'm there.
But see if I judge was I was probably winning. Like
when I get them at work, people will say like, "What happened to your eye?" And I'm like, "Mom, my missus is mental, mate." Like, all right.
Missus like, seen my phone.
My missus that she got into my phone.
So it does actually happen to think you're lying out.
Yeah, mate, my missus is mental. That's no joke. But that's the road I go doing. But
what's your how do you unwind? Because obviously you train. How many hours a day do you train?
2 or 3. Yeah, it's so hard. Like you're talking about like Sam's influence. Like I started working with him on a one-to-one basis. He's like, I think he said this in the podcast, he's like, you're not doing things right. And I was like, I took a lot of insult to that because I was like, if you ask anyone, people go, he does everything right. Like, he does the nutrition and strength and conditioning, trains well.
And you obviously pride yourself on that too.
Like, it's my work, not like working hard, like but it's like I'm very like methodical in everything I do, visualizing. I think like everything I do, I was not ticking the box. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying my best.
Oh.
Whereas he was like, nah, 99% of MMA fighters don't do things right. I was like, well, I'm the 1%. You know, like your ego's kind of. And then when I started working with him to a broader reason, you realise how much you do overtrain, how much your sessions aren't optimal. And one thing that he got me to do was like, say for instance, he was like, right, here's how the next 13 weeks look like for you. You're going to take a week off, you're going to train 3 days of the week. I was like, no.
That's like, hard.
He's like, you said you would do everything I said. I said, I can't take days off. He's like, you have to. He's like, take a week off, or 2 weeks you need to train 3 days of the week. But the days that you're not training, I want you to study this, study that. And I remember saying to him after, like talking about unwinding, like that's the first time I've taken a day off midweek, not through an injury or after a fight or just naturally. And that's not what I've life for about 9 years. That's not a joke.
Because that's the norm.
I don't take a midweek off. Yeah, I take the weekend off. And he was like, yeah, that's the issue.
But it's habitually, obviously, like it's just a routine which is built and you've programmed.
It's built into the sport.
Aye.
Yeah, and he's like, after the week off, I had 8 weeks out from that fight, went back Monday night, he said, how was training tonight? I said, I was amazing. He was like, I was unbelievable.
Of course.
Like, there you go. So now when he gives me a plan, I'm like, so when's my time off? Like, joking, but how to unwind, like, I think it's so, my mind can't switch off, but if I can switch my environment around, so I'll spend time with my fiance or spend time, basically the weekend, I'm like, what do you want to do? You whatever you want to do, I'll do it. I'll take myself away from the gym environment. I'll take myself away from that. Almost like withdraw myself a little bit. So when it comes Monday morning, I'm like, can't wait to get back to training. Because it's got to be exciting, doesn't it? It's got to be, you can't, you know, we all know, touched on it about a work. You can't, it's a job, but you can't be like, can I be bothered going to the gym today? Because you know that not every day I'm excited, but what I'm saying is you can't then treat it like that, a burden. It shouldn't be a burden. You've got to have that enjoyment and that and love. So yeah, I just try and spend some time with family, spend some time in the house and try and take myself away from the environment, and then that lets the mind kind of work a wee bit harder.
But it's also hard at the weekend because UFC's on. So your social media is just going to be, if you go on Instagram, it's going on Sunday, it's going to be last night's fights. So it's also tricky.
I know.
Like it is very hard.
I don't know, but I love like watching fights. You don't really watch much fights, is that right?
No.
Yeah.
I have to watch it for this is because I treat this like a job. It's part of my job.
Yeah,
I need to watch the fights. I need to. He did this well, he did that wrong. And I hate being critical to fighters because I'm one myself and I wouldn't want somebody to do it to me. And then I have to sit and do the exact same thing to people.
You know, I think when you say you go, it's easy for me to say, but, or I know how hard this was, I know I've got a boring style, but you know, you almost put like an inbuilt excuse before you criticise. It's so hard. And what do you do to unwind?
It's family. I've got 2 daughters and it's the highlight of my time. I enjoy playing games with them. I enjoy computer games. I enjoy board games. That's pretty much it. I love eating out.
Yes,
definitely.
I think every weekend I always make sure we try and like go out for food because you don't do that during the week, do you? And then fight camp, you can't do that. So I'm like,
do it as much as you can now. So because it's hard being a partner of a fighter.
Agreed.
When they've having to watch you destroy your body, reduce all your calories, watch you breaking down, and all they can do is stand at the sideline and be like, keep
and we're not ultra rational either.
Keep doing it.
Like quite extreme.
And after the fight, you're upset, and you know, I think it's very selfish because no matter how I feel, I'll take it on her. If I'm, if like the week after fight, if I'm down, obviously she'll help me through it, but I'm like, ultimately, like I'm not myself, and that's not your fault, but I'm just not myself.
But you live here. And I'm not happy.
Yeah,
so
and
it's
I'm up all night. I'm up all night overthinking, worrying after a fight, or even I'm buzzing because I've won.
Mate, you're sore
the next morning.
Like you're fucking sore.
Unsung heroes, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. And we were talking about like how a fight camp is. Do you ever seen people say how you feel? And sometimes I feel like saying like horrible training camps. Just to see the reaction. I think sometimes somebody's like, "How's the weight?" And I jokingly I was like, "Horrible, so much weight to cut." And they're like, "Really?" I was like, "No, but look how you've responded," because I've responded poorly. That's not helped the situation. Luckily, everything's fine. But like, if I told you how
fuck nothing's going wrong.
Yeah, if I told you the truth, like how truthful like I was feeling, 2 weeks out, I'm like, yes, I think a week out, some days, how you feeling? I was like, tired, sore, just ready to fight. And they're like, what do you mean you're tired? I was like, I'm exhausted.
Right.
Mentally, I'm sick of training for this
hungry.
guy. I'm sick of training. I'm hungry. I've got like 10 pounds to lose or whatever. But I know it's fine. But I just want it now because I'm ready. So it's so hard to like. You're almost like an actor. aren't
You get sick of doing the same stuff as well.
It's
and
so routine, isn't it?
Especially gets closer to the fight. It's like, guess what we're doing today? It's going to be these single leg takedowns, or it's going to be this combo we've been working on. It's this one specific move. And you just get like see the back of some of these moves that you're doing. You're like, I can't even wait to see the end of this.
I know.
My wrist's killing me. For us, it was the head to the side flinging uppercut, and my wrist was in bits. If you flinging this one uppercut, boom, boom, every single session we were flinging it, and I was like,
and that's on Thai pads with Primi as well, so there's going to be a lot.
I think I maybe threw it once in the fight.
But it's that thing though, like practice makes permanent, isn't it? Like it's trying to get through that, but that's Sam will help with that as well. Like structuring, you don't realise how hard you go a couple of weeks before the fight. Like he identifies like, and luckily he works with Dean in the grip house now, so it's not like I'm like, oh Dean, I'm not working hard today. And I'm like, what?
I had that conversation with him. I was like, it must be hard to go in as an outside entity and go into a gym and tell a coach, listen, I like what you're doing with my fighter, but can you on this day reduce it to a green, red, amber, green, whatever it is,
totally.
if you use the colour system. Can we have a green session today? And they're like, fuck off.
Yeah.
It's red and it's amber all the time.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Like Dean's been an
Having these
amazing
good relationships.
Yeah, I think as a coach, you've got to like manage. You're a manager. You've got to manage the S&C coach, the nutritionist, the like guys like Dr. Sam or their grappling coach, their striking coach. So everybody's on the same page. So then when you go to fight, it's that big one team, and it's not like
so many coaches, their fighters have came up in recent years because they have been more open to this style.
Yeah.
The gyms where they have not been open to this style have went to one side. It's quite clear. There's very clear examples.
And you could get it like maybe Dean, not Dean, but say, I've been in martial arts for 20 years, so you to tell like that you
could do that if he wanted.
Yeah, totally. But he's like, no, so you know what you're doing, you can get better. And I think when I had a fight, when I was at the fight camp, he seen my weight cut, I seen how I was physically feeling. He's like, this is working. He grabbed a chat and he said that him and Sam were talking to lunch for like 4 hours. That's like a long time to obviously be having a conversation, but. Like I've realised I've sometimes went into fight weeks exhausted. I'm like, how can I fight next week? It's just fight week. But now the last 2 fights, I went in fight week feeling incredible because I'm not breaking myself up to that point. A couple of weeks out, your volume's reducing, everything's all about your strategy. So that if the opponent changes, it's not a big deal. You're not like, what do I do here? It's no problem. We've got these specific low volume. At the end of the day, you're only fighting 3 5-minute rounds, aren't you? But we train like. This morning I done 10 rounds and you train again tonight. And that's just one of 12 hard sessions. And as you said, like a session can be hard, but how do you approach it? Are you approaching it to win or are you approaching it to learn? I could do like Monday night was hard 2 hours for me, but if you had a heart rate monitor, I wouldn't have hit red line because I was given specific things to work off. No matter how the rounds went, he's like, here's your restrictions, you can't do this, and here's the things I want you to look for. Try and get this a couple of times. How many times you get it? Yeah, I got it this wasn't working. Great, next week, try to get a wee bit more, and it's purposeful. A coach has got 20, 30 guys to do that with, so to get their time, it's obviously really, really beneficial.
The troubleshooting rounds are kind of always like we're doing this and not doing this, and by the way, you're not allowed to do this. I always find them the most.
You almost look at, I remember one time, like, he was like, you can't put your hands together. This was in May. I was like, how am I meant to grapple? Can't put my hands together. And he was like, and he kind of seen my face, like, I texted him, I was like, I just don't understand. He's like, stick with it. A couple of weeks later, still can't put your hands together. And then it was about maybe 5 weeks out from the fight, he's like, now you can. And I'm like, whoa, what's happened to my jiu-jitsu? What's happened to my wrestling? He's like, I've just taken away. It's obviously, how can you finish a single leg or without putting your hands together? You can't. I'm trying to figure out ways out that you need to work around the box. Their ultimate goal is to break your hands. So if you can't do it, you need to figure out certain ways. And now that you figure it out, your game just went like this. Like loads of restrictions and troubleshooting like that. I think you need to think outside the box as a coach, don't you?
The no side control one used to always get me.
You can't go to side control.
No side control. Like, and all you do is just bounce to mount straight away.
Yeah.
So why were you sitting in side control anyway?
Yeah.
You just hop straight out, like no side control, cool, bump, straight over.
Even like, it makes training fun as well, doesn't it?
Aye.
Like, if you submit someone, you can't submit them again. You need to sweep them, then you need to stand up, It's like pure playing bingo, but basically, like, can you hit them all in the one round? You're like, I'm trying. Like, it's impossible, but I need to get it. And then you lose. Your development gets better, and you're not thinking about winning or losing the round.
And then just looking for your favourite finish. Oh, I love a darts choke, let's go for it. And you just keep hitting the same thing, and you get better at doing that one thing, whereas your whole game...
It goes in the background, isn't it? It's like you're a program that runs in the background. You know, you could, like, you're grappling so good, you could probably not do jiu-jitsu for a year, but I bet you would still get better because it would just be running in the background. Like, that's like the thing, isn't it? Like, try to just improve yourself as an athlete, not do like the same stuff every session.
Like you say, no, start hating it. That's maybe it. I don't think I hate.
Or your training partners hate going with you because you're doing stuff.
Like, you do the same thing, and they're like, I can't win this, but can I win this round? So I
won't try. Yeah, I won't try or something.
Or I suppose you've been I've maybe been this training partner before they come in the gym, but they can tell I can't really be arsed. Like, he doesn't want to be here tonight. He's just here.
You said that before you match the energy, don't you?
Aye. We were talking a wee bit before about like different sparring partners and things like that, and I was like, I've sparred with you now for like 10 years. I think the most I've ever had is a cut eyebrow, and that was when we were grappling once. We like had...
It was a knee, wasn't it?
Aye, like you had tried to do like an S mount, and I'd tried to slide out the back, and boom, and that's the only injury there's been in all these years. Like, and we're talking about different guys who, some guys
some guys are just gym bullies, and you find that everywhere you go, no matter what level. But some guys just excel in the gym. I've trained with a few guys. One of the best training partners I've ever had. Absolutely smashes everybody in the gym. I've been in Cow Bomb and witnessed this guy absolutely smash the whole team, and it comes to a fight and he just can't pull it together.
Sam talks about that as well. Like, talk about like the deeper level. He's like, the most important thing for a coach is to have a safe and training environment for his fighters. Is because, and he was like listing the things is like, cause if you're getting injured all the time, I went into like 2 fights injured, and he's like, you have to eliminate people that are injuring you. They're hurting you and impacting your job. Whether you seeing on a fight camera, like, don't care. Like, can't use this leg, can't use that leg, don't care, I'll win. And he's like, but you shouldn't even have to think about that. He's like, so you need to like train more optimal, like train with optimal people. Which you need safe training people, or, you know, like talking about like he pulls a head kick. Nice one. You let me away with that. Thanks for not knocking me out. Like, and then it's the same with like head contact. Like, Dean always says, he's like, I'm trying to look after your safety and everybody's safety. I can't have you steal my concussions. So if you have these like restrictions in place, you will improve yourself as a fighter and you won't have the damage. So like, try to get that in that like that flow state of mind in a hard sport, so your brain's not damaged. And then maybe the hobbies who aren't competing, they're not going to work with a concussion. So safe training environments.
Aye. I know I've stood there loads of times, mate, at work on a Friday night at a nightclub, like fucking aye, your ear is ringing. The music's loud tonight. What music? We're at the front.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, and it's you don't want to take damage in the gym, do you?
No.
Like, taking off in fights, mate.
Or you submission and you're like, I've just like, I don't know. Obviously, you need to be that. That tapping into that element a couple of weeks before you. I'll let my leg break. Don't care, but you shouldn't be put in that position. Your partner should maybe go, I would tap if I were you, or just know enough to go, I'm going to let this go. Because he's in the zone that he's going to hurt himself, and I'm not willing to break him. Like, obviously people have their different opinions, but your team, you should be helping each other, not try to break each other.
I don't want to dislocate anyone's shoulder in the gym. Like, if it's like a joint submission, I think we're all fully aware of what the point of no return is for that.
I think jiu-jitsu is more dangerous than MMA.
It can be. But we were talking about this with Mop, about the leg lock and stuff. I used to be terrible, mate. If my leg got tied up, I would just shit myself and tap. You can't do that either.
No.
You're not being a good training partner if you're... Obviously, I didn't want to go too far, but you have got to realise, like, what can you take? And that's up to you. That's not up to... You've put on a heel hook. I should know when to tap, but I shouldn't tap the second you wrap it up and go, oh, fuck my leg.
No, of course.
You know what I mean? There is a fine line with, but things like arm bars and kimuras and stuff, you know, mate. You know, if your fucking arm's behind your back, it's time to tap. Like,
I remember at a competition years and years ago when I like training partners, it's like kimuras, like, his ham is behind his back, and the host of the competition was like, nah, that's done. He's like, I've got flexible shoulders. He's like, yeah, but if your arm breaks, my insurance is gubbed. He's like, so no, you've lost the match. And at the time, everyone was raging, but I was thinking about it when you were saying that. He's actually right.
It's protection, isn't it? It's the same thing that your coach does
match. Yeah.
Same thing your coach does for your brain.
Yep.
He was doing for his
He's like
that opponent, Sam.
Yeah, coaches out there will stand back and will just watch you two like will go fight and be like, "This is great." I think that's good though. Sometimes I think you need that.
You do need it, but it can't be every week, can it?
No,
it needs to be.
You should look at each other and be like, we went a bit hard there, didn't we? Cool, yeah. Let's not do that again.
Like everybody knows when somebody's going hard in the gym because everybody kind of goes.
Aye, once you hear those couple of shots, like
you
hear that like thud, and then everybody goes.
It's always the shin pad hitting the calf, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the Western when the piano player stops, eh? There's something going on over there. Like,
and you and your training partner start sparring until you know it's bad.
One side.
It does happen.
And then you instantly tone it down a bit.
But boys will be boys, mate.
Yeah.
It's a combat sport. It's about dominance. It's about the reason we get in it. You have also got coffee.
Yes.
So it's here, isn't it?
Yes. Some corner to him.
Yeah. So where did that come from? Where did this branding come from?
That came about in 2021. I talking about a good support network. One of my sponsors, Grant Roxton, was a digital marketing company called Boy Digital. So I was messaging him like, I've just made my pro debut. You just started sponsoring me, digital marketing company. Basically, I can't even go to the gym. Like, it's illegal to train. I feel like I've got nothing to talk about.
Was this COVID?
COVID, yeah. So I was like, nothing.
There were some days.
Like, I was like, there's only so many videos I can post of me hitting a bag with a big wig on and lifting these weights. I was like, what do I do to like if you from a marketing perspective, like what do I do as a fighter, as a brand? He's like, okay. We had a chat and he was like, you obviously as a fighter, you've got to think. I was watching The Last Dance as well, like Michael Jordan. So I was kind of inspired by that. And something Michael Jordan always said, if I take care of myself in the basketball court, all my endorsements and stuff, they'll run in the background. I thought, and I was speaking to Grant about that kind of conversation. And he said, obviously, you want to grow your brand as a fighter so you become more marketable, more valuable with tickets and profitable for businesses and promoters. And ultimately, that's how they buy into you. Same with me. And he was like, so he says, you can't fight it now, so let's get some t-shirts with your name on it and some values and stuff, and get your like supporters to like try and like buy in, can't support you. So we've done t-shirts, a couple of t-shirts, and that was like fantastic. I was like overwhelmed with the support and people wanted to buy them. No prop, like basically what they cost me, I sold them for that. And then he was like, right, next level, he's like, you want a product that's not just like a buy one off. You want to have like a business and a brand, something that people use every day, such as coffee, and it also fits into everything that you do, training hard, fitness, being the best you can be, and stuff like that. So he's like, let's do like a one-off kind of coffee idea with your name on it. And at first it said like Reece McEwan's coffee, and he was like, that was a big seller, let's do that again. And then he was like, right, your career's back up and running, you're fighting, you're getting opportunities, where do you want to go with this? And I was like, well, where do you want to go with this? Is your idea? And he was like, we can make this into a company, make it into a brand. We'll take care of the websites. We'll take care of all the kind of business aspect. He's obviously got a full-time job. I've got my full-time career. And he was like, and all that will do is add value to your career. And he was like, because we were getting orders from people I didn't know. So it's like the reputation of the quality of coffee is now grown out with your support network. So it's serving its purpose. And it's growing your brand as a fighter as such. I thought, let's keep it going, and we've never really looked back since. We just kept growing and growing and growing, and all the money that goes into it just goes back into like, how can we add more products like travel mugs or spice shrubs or merchandise, and it's an amazing let's say, not side venture, but it's an amazing brand to be a part of, and I'm learning so much in the business world as well, like working alongside a guy that's been in business for 15, 20 years, and I'm learning so much about myself and having conversations and meetings. And I didn't used to like coffee, now I do, so I'm kind of feeling an addiction now. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. It's
great that some from a bad situation has came, and it's been such a huge product for you. Yeah,
it's totally, and I appreciate it's at the studio, and I guess it's educational for me at the start. I think honesty is the best thing. I didn't know anything about it, but he's educating me about business, educating me about coffee. Again, the brand, it's like Latin for endeavour. So, and it was like the ethos of the brand is it's got to fit for you. It's got to be something you believe in. So you can practice what you preach, and working hard, constantly improving, and being the best that you can be. And he was like, so everything we do in this brand is all to fuel hard work, whether you're going to work or you're going to the gym. Like, you don't need to be an athlete, you just need to love good coffee, or essentially maybe if they want to believe in you, but and then hopefully like after the idea of the grant was like when you're finished your athletic career, you've got things that have helped you and you're not stressed like most fighters and athletes are. And I think for someone to think so highly of me and do that for me is unbelievable.
Amazing. So, do you have other sponsors that supported you in this? Yeah,
I've got like a team of sponsors, like, and again, thanks to like some sponsors, I've got a website with all my sponsors, so like ReeceMcEwan.com, and you can see all the sponsors. I think that's so much better because then rather than like me name them, you can go on and see like and click on their website, click on their social media, and luckily with the sponsors, like a lot of my sponsors have been with me since I was an amateur when they had no right to really believe in me, and then it's now that they referred back to the times when they were like, I remember you in the gym 12 hours a day, like cleaning the gym, just kind of sitting about waiting for the next session. That's the Reece I believe in, and that's the Reece that like that set their goals and had that. I'm being level-headed now, but was dreaming big, and now look where you are, kind of thing. So I've got a lot of great sponsors and great supporters that make this career like make me able to train full time and not worry about any other kind of side distractions that a lot of fighters need to do. So I'm very thankful for that.
Excellent. Listen, we really appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to seeing you back in Glasgow.
No, thank you so much. It's good. It's surreal, like being grateful. I listen to podcasts all the time, so I'll probably not listen to this episode. But would you not? I think I will.
It was a very good podcast. It was very good.
You were good.
I do. I appreciate that.
So we have this conversation all the time. And we have gained so much for talking to fighters, and we really enjoy the moments we share with fighters. And all their be stories, and they all come roughly from the same background. They've all got the same sort of ethos, but there's some fighters who just shine a little bit more than others. So we really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much.
And we'll put the link for his website and his sponsors underneath. So, as always, guys, keep it high, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.